I'm Michelle, standing in the middle of the chaos, with the deafening sound of the breach still ringing in my ears. I watched as my so-called family's world crumbled before my eyes. My brother, Ryan, stood there, frozen, his face a mask of shock and disbelief. He had just dropped the phone, the connection still alive, and was stuttering. "Who is this?" "Put Miller on. This isn't funny. It all started a few hours ago. I walked into that underground wine cellar, a place filled with the stench of greed and betrayal. I was dressed in a tattered hoodie and dirty jeans, looking every bit the failure my family thought I was. To them, I was the black sheep, the one who couldn't hold down a job. But in reality, I was a senior special agent in the middle of a 6-month operation. My family was wealthy, with my father, Henry, being a well-known businessman. He was a cold and calculating man, always focused on money and power. My mother, Victoria, was a shallow woman, more concerned with her social status and expensive jewelry than with her children. Ryan, my older brother, had built a logistics empire with the help of some shady investors. The party was a retirement celebration for Ryan, held in a rented wine vault filled with vintage wines. The guests were not family friends, but rather cold-eyed men with bulges under their jackets, the investors in Ryan's business. Before I could even reach the bar, Ryan cornered me. He dragged me into a small alcove, his grip tight on my arm. "You look like a mess," he hissed. "But that's perfect. $4 million is missing from my accounts, and the investors will kill me if I don't find a scapegoat. I'm going to tell them you took it. You're an addict. No one will question it. You go to jail for a few years, and I'll pay for your lawyer. Do you understand?" I whimpered and pulled away, playing the part of the weak and helpless sister. Inside, though, I was calm. 3 days ago, I had stumbled into Ryan's office, pretending to be drunk and asking for a loan. I accidentally spilled a hot cup of coffee on him. While he was yelling at his secretary for towels, I simply swapped his RSA security token with a dummy one in my pocket. For the past 72 hours, he had been unable to log into his accounts, while I had been mirroring his hard drive from my car. Ryan pushed me back into the main room, ordering me to look guilty. The atmosphere was tense. The head investor, a man named Victor with a scar on his face and an expensive suit, stood up and buttoned his jacket. "We're done here, Ryan. You're unstable. We're pulling the funding." Ryan panicked. He grabbed my arm and yanked me into the center of the room. He staged the whole thing, shoving a vacuum-sealed bag into my pocket and then pulling it out, shouting, "Found it." She was trying to steal the money. I looked at my mother, hoping she would stand up for me. But Victoria just looked at the investors, then at the expensive furniture, and then at Ryan. She did the math in an instant. If Ryan went down, the money would stop, and her luxurious life would end. "Oh, Michelle," she wailed. "How could you? You're dead to me." Ryan dragged me to a wine rack near the exit and handcuffed me to it. He pulled out his phone to call his dirty cop, Officer Miller, thinking he had won. But when he pressed the speaker button, the voice that came through was not Miller's. "Miller can't come to the phone right now. He's in cuffs in the back of my surveillance van," said Assistant Special Agent in Charge Davies. Ryan's face turned pale. He finally looked at me and saw me for who I really was. I stood up straight, my eyes cold. "You did this all yourself, Ryan. You called us here and handed us the evidence," I said. Then I gave the order. Davies breach. The heavy cellar doors were blown off their hinges, and federal agents swarmed in. The investors were quickly subdued. Ryan sank to his knees, begging me to fix things. "I can fix this. Michelle, please. I'm your brother." But I knew he was far from innocent. I showed him the evidence in the bag he had planted on me. Inside was a ledger with all his dirty dealings, verified by the digital clone of a server I had made 3 days ago. As the agents dragged Ryan away, he shouted for Victoria to burn the evidence. She lunged and threw the bag into the fireplace. But I knew it was just a decoy. The real evidence was already in the DA cloud. I turned to Victoria. "You just made the worst mistake of your life. You're now involved in a federal investigation." She tried to fight me, but I quickly subdued her and put real cuffs on her. 3 days later, the mansion was seized by the U.S. Marshal Service. Victoria stood on the curb, arguing for her pearls, and Ryan sat in a federal holding cell, facing a long prison sentence. I got into my old sedan, paid for with clean money, and deleted Ryan and all the memories of this toxic family from my contacts. I drove away, looking forward to a quiet and honest future. If you've ever had to be the villain in someone else's story to save yourself, you're not alone.